After the White House put me on an offenders list, an enemies list, Joker Tony decided to write in and said, David Pakman, how do you feel that yourself and your lover, Brian Tyler Cohen, have been added to the White House list after you made a career and millions off Trump's name, image, and algorithm? Well, you know what, Joker Tony? It turns out that Brian and I are not lovers. I know this comes as a shock, and I don't mean that there's been a domestic disturbance or dispute. We both exclusively date women, and not each other. But I actually feel really good about the fact that the White House put me on a list, because when I started this thing, independent political talk was nothing. Nobody was really consuming this sort of content as an alternative to the legacy and corporate stuff. And the space has grown so much. And a lot of us, as we were growing our shows, would wonder, are we making an impact? Does this matter to anybody? Is anybody paying attention to what we're doing? And the fact that the White House has put me on the list, has put Brian on the nasty guy, even Brian copying my hairstyle wasn't enough to protect him from being on the list. In all seriousness, it's an incredible confirmation. It's an affirmation of the fact that what we're doing matters. And it's the audience that should really take the credit, because at the end of the day, this show is nothing without the audience. If there weren't people in the audience for years now who said, hey, I think this is worth supporting, instead of waiting for someone else to support it, I will support it myself. If it weren't for those people, there would be no list that includes independent media shows. So, Joker Tony, homophobia aside, they love their homophobia, don't they? I feel really good about it. Really, really good. Reimer also wrote in, David, fuck you, loser, asshole, gay. Why are they so homophobic? I'll never understand it. Why do you care? If I were gay, what difference would it make? Am I right about taxes or am I wrong about taxes? That's really what should matter. All right, let's now get into more substantive stuff on today's Friday feedback. Remember that you can email info@davidpakman.com if you have anything to say to me, good or bad, and then we will also feature comments. Scott Jenkins on Spotify says, unfortunately, Paxton will win Texas. It's a given. So listen, here's my view on this whole Tallarico, Texas Senate kind of thing. We are, many of us, adults. And even if we weren't adults, we could still be mature enough to be able to do sort of like on the one hand, on the other hand kind of thinking. It is true on the one hand that it often is the case that in Texas Senate races, we look at the polling in May and June and July, and we see the Democrat has a lead. The Democrat is up by 2 or whatever. And it ultimately turns out that the Democrat loses. That happens. That happens. Or we go, the Democrat is within striking distance in the polls, and then the Democrat loses. That happens in Texas. That's true. At the same time, things that happen for a while don't have to happen forever. And it may be the case that the bluification of Texas happens by first having some races that seem close, and then eventually we get one. So when I look, for example, at the betting markets, and I see that right now it's Paxton 58% expect to win, 42% expect that it's Tallarico, that is a reaction to what is taking place in the real world. And so it's a message to me that we should get involved in this race. And we are going to be involved in it here on the show. And if we assume that the outcome is a predetermined conclusion, then it makes voting not matter anymore. The reason we vote is that we can affect the outcome. Could it end up being another case of we almost got Texas, but the Democrat lost? It could. But could we also make it a situation where Democrats win? Yes, we could. And we're going to try to do that. CE2828 wrote to me on Spotify, David, get on the real White House list, the UFC Freedom 250 list, and it will be Pakman versus Shapiro. Nothing beats the taste of victory, and it will be historic. Listen, I think Ben Shapiro and I, in any kind of physical competition, would be pretty well matched from the standpoint of size and from the standpoint of weight class. Okay. When I was with Ben at this Reuters Next event, we seem pretty similarly sized. So as far as that goes, that would be an interesting matchup. However, I don't believe my future is in beating the crap out of people or getting the crap beat out of me. At least I don't want that to be my future. Let me put it that way. So cage match or a UFC fight between me and Ben Shapiro, I wouldn't expect it. Cham Gamela wrote, I have noticed YouTube has not been showing your videos in my feed as much as recommended videos lately. Well, you and 10,000 others, Cham Gamela, we are up against some kind of brutal algorithmic disruption on YouTube. I'm not going to bore you by going through all of the details again today, but suffice it to say, what we need to do is retrain the YouTube algorithm. The best two ways to do that. If you're watching but not subscribed, subscribe. It costs nothing, and it tells YouTube, I want to see this content, and I believe other people would want to see it as well. And secondly, after subscribing, hit the little bell icon and make sure that the all notifications is selected. Otherwise, YouTube will use an algorithm, nasty algorithm, to determine what of my content to show you. And it might be none of my content. So retrain the algorithm by saying, show me all of David's stuff. All right, Al is there on YouTube weighing in on the Trump administration's view that screwworm in the United States is Joe Biden's fault. Al is there says, so the screwworm, which lives for 21 days, got in during the Biden administration. Then they deviously waited until 18 months into the Trump administration to make themselves known. That makes sense. Yes, these are extremely conniving screwworms. They came in under Biden because the borders were open. They attached themselves to a host dog in New Mexico, but only went active when Donald Trump had been president 18 months. Why wouldn't anyone believe that? Matt wrote in on Spotify and says Trump's got 99 doctors and a shrink ain't one. Well, you know what's very interesting about this? Matt's reacting to the news that 22 different medical specialists examined Donald Trump during his recent annual physical, the third in 13 months, his third annual physical in 13 months. And we don't know what specialists they were. I wouldn't rule out that there was a psychiatrist. I mean, there probably should be, but we just don't know because the White House hasn't told us anything. In fact, I would be reassured by there being a psychiatrist. We know something is happening with Trump's brain, emotionally, cognitively, et cetera. I would be reassured if he was actually getting the expertise that he needs. But no reason to think that there is a psychiatrist involved in Trump's care right now. Bobston Rob wrote on Substack, longtime YouTube viewer, never actually feared they'd come after you, doubling down to support. Keep up the fight. Rob, I'm flattered. Thank you. The number of people since the White House put me on this list, a list that was initially all Jews, just a coincidence, right? Right? It is incredible, the outpouring of support. People who now are subscribed on my website and Substack as paid subscribers. People who, we've got 6 million people that watch videos every month on YouTube and aren't subscribed. Think of what would happen overnight to the channel if those 6 million people who watch but aren't subscribed decided to subscribe. We can do this thing. We can take control of this thing. And it doesn't really cost anything. So I appreciate everybody. Tens of thousands of new YouTube subscribers coming out of the woodwork. Really value you, appreciate you. We're going to do everything we can to keep going. Speaking of keep going, the show doesn't have to end now. We do a bonus show after every show for our website members and Substack subscribers. You can get the bonus show on either website or Substack. Go to joinpakman.com or substack.davidpakman.com. Bonus show after this. You love to see it. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.